This is a quick little look at the Poldiac clone by Asmart, purchased from Vape Royalty. In the box you will get the mod, the 18650 mode, the 18350 tube and pants, and you will also get a little extension ring or kick ring, so you can use an 18500 with this, with the 18350 tube, or you can use a kick in its 18650 mode. Now it has the little name on the button. You have your Poldiac and your serial code on the bottom cap. Top cap is recessed. No air channels, so if you're not going to get airflow from a device that needs it from the 510 connection. Maybe you can see that there are there are 4 slots cut in the bottom cap for venting. You have a supposedly silver spring, which is pretty cool. Everything on this mod is not silver plated, it's actually solid silver. So all the connections, while I'm sure it's not real silver, everything on here is like that's a solid piece of silver there. Problem is it's really soft, so you have to kind of make sure you don't over tighten anything. Top cap comes off. It has a little piece of Delrin in there. I'm not exactly sure what function it has. It unscrews. I don't know why that's needed, but it's there. You have a telescopic pin at the top, and it is reverse threaded. The bottom screw is normal righty-tighty, but the top one, if you turn that to the right, it's reverse threaded, so it's actually, when you turn it to the right, it's going to raise, turn it to the left, it'll lower. And the same is true for the pin for the battery connection. That is also set up the same way, although so far I've had no reason to adjust it at all. I've just been leaving it all the way tightened in. Now I have seen a video on one of the Facebook groups of someone throwing theirs on the ground and this tube popping out of the control head. And what I believe happened was, if you can see those little notches on that brass ring around the Delrin, if you don't have that tightened up all the way, you will not have many threads to catch, especially with this tube. Hopefully you can see that, but the threading does not go all the way to the top, so you definitely want to make sure that's tightened down all the way so you can get that in there without having an issue like I seen in that video. Besides that, I mean, once I did that, I haven't had a problem before I did that, but after making sure that was already tightened in, I mean, it's in there really good. It is a pain trying to get it threaded on with that extra tube there, but it goes in. There's no play at all. It does have a magnetic switch. In my opinion, I kind of like it. I think it has good feedback. It's not quite as smooth as a switch on my roller, but it's still pretty good, and considering it was half the price, I'm pretty pleased with it. Asmart has been coming out with some very high quality clones. I have not had any battery configuration that wouldn't work. I have not had any device that wouldn't screw onto this. Everything has worked flawlessly. The price is a little steep for the clone. Vape Royalty is the only place I've seen with it, and if I remember, they're charging close to $80 for it, maybe $70. I know it's up there. The this thing does very well with with its voltage drop. I think I get, if I remember, I was getting 4.05 volts under a 1.2 ohm load. I'm not quite sure what it gets under a sub ohm load. I haven't really checked, but with the previous number, I would imagine it's not too far from 4. Let's see. Fires every time, and it puts out a good amount of power. It should please anybody looking for a mod with good voltage retention. It's definitely one of the better ones. I still think their Atmo does a little bit better, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to test this one with sub-ohm, so I mean, they could be equal, or this possibly could be better. I did have an issue after a few days of use with the switch. It started like sticking in halfway, and there's a little plastic housing on the inside, and you can take this entire top apart and get in there, and I did that, and there's a little pin in there, and this is how I found out that all the contacts are not plated brass, not silver plated brass, but actually solid silver or whatever metal it is they use, because when I pulled the little rice pin out of the switch, I actually smashed it, so I had to replace it with a solid little piece of copper, and I actually haven't noticed any drop in performance at all. So if anybody has that problem, just replacing it with a little piece of, what was it, I cut up a piece of cable wire and just doubled it over a couple times to make it thick enough and put it in where the old pin used to be, and fires every time, not a single problem. The button is lockable. If you push it in, you can just turn the shirt. It's not going to fire like that, and you have it locked. You don't have to worry about any misfires. Ooh, and I forgot to point out the logo on the back, the M. Hopefully you can see that. And there is a lot of parts to this, so I guess the price is somewhat validated, even though it still bugs me that a clone costs so much. But for the performance, for the build quality, it is very solid. Everything's snug in place. None of the shirts spin. It's just like Asmart did with the Atmo clone. It has a high quality feel to it. I just wish this was actually engraved and not, I guess, like that laser etching that all these China clones are using, where, I mean, it doesn't have the chalkboard feeling, but I am suspicious that after cleaning it a few times, it might come off. It was darker, but when I put Brasso on it, it almost gave it like a white color. This, I have polished the switch with a stainless polish and all the tubes and shirts, and this seems to still be keeping the logos pretty well. They haven't really faded much, if at all. I mean, besides that, there's really not much else to it without ripping this thing apart. This is it's a good buy. I would still recommend waiting till it drops down to maybe $60, or try to find some way to get a discount code for that place, or maybe someone else will start stocking it and you can get a better deal. It's kind of a hard I don't know, it's hard to buy a clone when you're paying that kind of money, but it's worth it. You will not be disappointed if you do decide to pick one of these up. Definitely in my top 5 mods that I use on a regular basis, and it does seem to handle being taken out and about pretty well. I've been using this a whole lot, and besides dirty hands all over it, I don't notice any serious scratches or anything on it. Alright, and I hope you found some of that information helpful, and thanks for watching.